Turning next live to Parliament Hill, and it is there that the Trudeau government's $82 billion pandemic aid package is moving on to the Senate through the Commons in an extraordinary overnight session that in fact wrapped up literally about an hour and 7 minutes ago. A session that didn't get underway until after 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. It was a small group of government ministers, opposition leaders, and MPs approving the $82 billion package after spending much of yesterday in contentious negotiations over just what wording would make up the final legislation. Janice McGregor is back with us on that story. We were talking about the wording yesterday, Janice. It was a problem when our day began then, and it pretty much tripped up all of the talks all through the day from that point on.
It was an incredible journey to get to this place, Heather. And as I join you from my living room, I am standing on the shoulders of a couple of CBC colleagues and numerous other press gallery colleagues who have been on Parliament Hill all night watching this happen. And I salute you because everything I know comes from them. Thank you very much, guys. Listen, in the end, this thing passed not with a bang, but kind of with an exhausted whimper. But as you say, this deal is done now. These programs can start to be administered for Canadians. We've got some clips here that give you a bit of a flavor. Here's Conservative leader, opposition leader Andrew Scheer and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh speaking during the debate, which got underway just after 3 in the morning in the House of Commons.
We were prepared to quickly pass the measures that the Prime Minister had announced to date. What we were not prepared for was the government's attempted undemocratic power grab.
The government has shown that they're interested in helping Canadians. But if they truly want to help Canadians, we need to do more and we need to do it faster.
So in the end, that the deal that the Conservatives held out for, and I say Conservatives, Heather, because they really were the most insistent in all of this, the most insistent person of all, actually, the Conservatives' finance critic, Pierre Poilievre, who wasn't even in the Commons for this all-nighter. He is at home right now, self-isolating because of his exposure to this coronavirus. But the government's wings now clipped somewhat in its ability to respond from here. They have put a lot more accountability measures into this equation. The spending powers that the government had negotiated for itself will now expire quicker. They will wrap up in June. The controversial measure about taxation powers has been scrubbed. But interestingly, the Finance Committee and the Health Committee are going to start meeting now by video conference. The Finance Minister has reporting responsibilities about what is spent. It's going to be reviewed. This deal gives a lot more of a role to the opposition in terms of keeping watch over what is going to unfold in the coming weeks. And I think the idea here is that they will ask for the recall of Parliament if they feel that the government needs to be held accountable in all of this.
But as it stands, we heard from the Deputy Speaker, April the 20th is when Parliament is set to resume, set at this point. So the big question now, and I think it's one I put to the Finance Minister when we spoke last week, it's the one that Canadians everywhere are asking, Janice, when does the money flow?
Yeah, exactly. So first things first, the Senate is meeting at 10 o'clock this morning, not to prejudge that work, but they do have a role to play before all this becomes law, let's not forget. But assuming that goes through, the various programs outlined in this bill, some are easier and faster to get money out with than others. If you think of something like the GST credit, the Canada Child Benefit, those things, those people are already out there, their bank accounts maybe are already set up. That money can go out fairly quickly in the coming weeks. New programs like these income supports that are being set up for people who don't have employment insurance, that is a program that has to be designed from scratch. People will then have to apply for it, and then it can be paid out. That is not a quick process, and it's going to be a real challenge now for the Federal Civil Service to execute this at a time, Heather, where just like our workplace and everyone else's workplace right now, they are under considerable stress. So big test ahead for the bureaucrats who are going to have to seize this now and put it into place.
Janice, thank you very much. And Janice is following things from there in Ottawa.